Now what I want to share with you today is something that I saw demonstrated when I was in England a couple of years ago for their national train show at Birmingham. And that is the Pro Grass Box Static Grass Applicator. So that's a real mouthful, isn't it? From WWScenics. And at the time, I didn't have enough room in my suitcase to pack this away. So I put it in the back of my mind. And then just before Christmas this year, I saw this advertised on Etsy. And WWScenic, which is a company based in England, has now set up an Etsy store. So you can purchase their items from them on Etsy, and they'll ship them to you directly from England. So it's a fairly easy process to order this. And they had this on a very good sale, and it might still be. I don't know. I haven't checked in the last day or two. But it was at a very good sale, and I want to show you what you can do with it because it is very different from the typical static grass applicator. So let's go ahead and get started. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Okay, so what this is, it's a little black box that you can see right here with a metal plate on the surface and an on-off button right here. And of course the alligator clip for being the positive ground that they use. And then here on the back, there is this slot for a standard 9-volt battery. Okay, so that just pops in here. Now, this device works like most static grass applicators. It takes that little 9 volts that comes out of that battery and turns it into 15,000 volts. So you're pumping out a lot of volts. However, it's at a very small amperage. It's like 1.5 milliamps maximum is the amperage that you would get. However, that 15,000 volts is still enough to give you a little shock if you happen to touch both of these at the same time. So be very careful using this. And as they say, it's not to be used by anybody that's using a pacemaker or other type of electronic device installed in them. So be aware of that when you are looking at this, because it does put out a high voltage. It's not going to kill you in most cases, but it will set you back on your pants if you're not careful. So you do have to be very careful using this, and I'll say that twice. You do have to be very careful using it because it can give you a little bit of a shock. Okay, so what's so different about this? Well, normally you would have a basket of some sort in which the static grass would be placed, and you'd shake that down onto the surface that you were wishing to coat. This is different. It's the reverse. You place your static grass here on this metal plate, turn the device on, and then you hold your item that you want to cover with static grass above this, turn it on, and zap. You'll see what happens next. The first thing I want to do is show you how it works with a sheep, because you can see here the color of this sheep here is a tan color, and when sheep basically first are sheared, they come back white, and for several months they look predominantly white, but then over time the coat begins to, the fleece begins to yellow and become dirty and tan, and by the time they're ready to be sheared again, they look very much different. But what most people think of a sheep is something white, and so this is sort of at odds with that depiction because it's tan. So what I want to do is show you how you can turn this brown or tan sheep into a nice fluffy white one. And the nice thing about this is once you coat this with the static grass, it gives it a nice fuzzy, fleecy appearance. So let me show you how I go about doing that first. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to use, you can use any kind of scenic cement or whatever. This happens to be a mixture of Mod Podge, and I use 1 part of Mod Podge to 3 parts water, plus a couple of 2 or 3, 4 drops of detergent to help it penetrate better. Okay. Now, I'm going to give it a little shake, and then what I want to do is I'm going to clip this in the alligator clip, just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take a small paintbrush and dip it into my scenic cement that I've made up here. and paint the areas that I want to be white. Like this. Okay. And then, I should have done this first. I'm going to take some of this 1/2 millimeter snow scatter grass. It's actually static grass, and they call it snow scatter. And I'm going to put it on the surface of this metal plate. I'm just going to take a pinch because it's not a big sheet. Okay, got to be careful. This stuff goes everywhere, let me tell you. Okay, now I've got it. I'm going to repaint this because it might have dried some. Okay, we'll put some of that diluted Mod Podge on it here. Get enough on there so it's going to stick good. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it on and hold my little sheep over it here. And you can see that static grass is just jumping like crazy. Okay, turn it off. Discharge it. Okay. Now, you can see how fuzzy that sheep is now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit more static grass to the metal plate. Because this stuff, I mean, it really jumps on you. Okay. Now let's do that again. You can see it jumping off of that plate onto that sheep. Okay, I'm going to turn that off, discharge it, and I'm discharging it to the ground so that I'm not going to get shocked inadvertently. Okay, and then we can take that out of there, like so, and we've got a nice fuzzy sheep now. So, that's one thing that you can do with this. And you could do this with any animal that you can find an appropriate colored static grass to use with it. So let's try something different now. I've got a whole bunch of these sheep I need to do, but I'm not going to waste your time doing that. Let me get set up. Let me clean off all this white static grass, and then we're going to take a look at using it to make trees. Okay, let me point out that I ordered this white static grass from WWScenics at the same time that I ordered the static box. So, you know, you might want to do that because it's very, very difficult to find white static grass, let alone 1/2 millimeter in length. And if you're working in HO, you want something small. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is show you how you can use this with good old super trees. And I took this super tree, I just sprayed it with some gray paint, and you will notice if you go out in the woods and look around, you will see that trees predominantly have gray bark, not brown. And I know a lot of people spray their trees brown, but go out and take a look. You'll see that most trees have a gray bark. There might be some pine trees that have a little bit of red in it, but it's predominantly going to be gray. Okay, so I did that to give it a base coat. And now what I've got is a little spritz bottle here, lens cleaning solution, but it's filled with my diluted Mod Podge. And I've got a cardboard box that I'm going to use to spritz this with, so I'm going to just do that off camera because I don't want to get it all over the place there. So I'm just going to spritz all over the tree with my diluted Mod Podge. Okay, so that's done. Throw the box on the floor. And now we've got some Mod Podge on here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to transfer the clip over to the tree trunk so we can do that. And now let's turn it on and see how it does. Doesn't work very well. Doesn't work very well with 4 mil grass. Okay, let's give it a try. Now let me point out that this works best with smaller sizes. Now it worked great with that 1/2 millimeter size stuff. This is 2 millimeter because it doesn't work very well with 4, let me tell you. Okay, let's see. Now we've got it. Look at those strings of it coming up there. So it's going to come up and it's going to eventually coat. Okay, so you can see I've coated almost the entire tree. Let me get a little bit more out. I'm going to put a little bit more static grass on the unit. Whoops. I think I need to, okay. And we'll get some more static grass on on our tree. So it takes a couple of applications, or a thick application, to get a good coverage here. Let me turn this off this time, and I'm going to put even more on here. And the reason I've set this up on this piece of brown paper is so that I can recover all of this, because it does go everywhere. It does scatter all over the place. Okay, let me turn it back on again, and we'll finish. Okay, turn it off, and discharge it before I get shocked. And you can see we have a nice coating of the tree here with the 2 mil static grass. And I'll vary this with different colors to give it a little bit more highlights. I'll use both the dark green and the light green on here. And you can get the 2 mil fairly readily from your hobby shop. Any hobby shop that carries a WWScenics display is probably going to have some 2 mil, some 4 mil, and maybe some 7. But like I said, I don't think this works very well above about 2 mils. Okay, so you can try that if you want, but I tried it and didn't have much luck with 4 mil static grass with it. But it does a very nice job. It's going to be great for conifers. One thing I want to try, let's see how it works with foam flocking. I've never tried that before. Now what I have here is some WWScenics fine turf, and it's their burnt grass version, so this is a very fine stuff. And I've put a little pile on top of the device. I'm going to go spritz a little bit more of my scenic cement here. Okay, I've added some more of my diluted Mod Podge. So let's kick on the static and see what happens. Okay, nothing. Now, as you saw from that little failed demonstration, you can't use WWScenics or anybody else's ground foam. So apparently this will only work with static grass. So that was just a quick test, just so we could answer that question, because I knew somebody would ask. So anytime you want to add a little bit of fur to your sheep or any other critters in your barnyard, or if you want to make some static grass trees, this is a neat little device that is available now in the United States from WWScenics. So take a look at their website, WWScenics.com, and look for their, I'll put that up right there, okay, their Pro Grass Box. And that's what it's called. So it's for static grass application in special situations, obviously. So I'm sure you could think of a lot, and I've seen him do demonstrations. The owner of the company does these demonstrations where he, paints glue onto buildings and things of that nature, and creates a moss effect on the building itself and on other structures. So there's a lot of different things that's only limited by your imagination as how you can put this to use. And also by the fact that you've got to find static grass about 2 millimeters or less in length, because it doesn't seem to work at all with anything more than about 2 millimeters. But it does work fairly well with that, and it worked obviously great with these little sheep, with that 0.5 millimeter stuff. So take a look at that. Again, WWScenics.com. Okay, and let me point out that this is not a paid advertisement for these guys. I just like the device, and watched them do that for 2 days at the train show in England, and was very impressed with the device. So finally, I picked one up. So, well, that's it for now. I have all of the lumber on hand, and I've started cutting the lumber for making the modules. So that'll be the next video, I think, that I'll be doing. It's the first of the modules where we actually will be putting together the baseboard for the new Piedmont Southern module. So in the meantime, have a great weekend, and have a great week, and we'll see you here in a week or so as soon as I get all the lumber cut and things put together, and we'll start building the new modules for the Piedmont Southern. Bye now.